Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Backfire Simsport TV. I'm Clyde Whiting, and tonight we bring you episode 18 of the Backfire podcast. So, in the booth with me tonight, we have Mr. Johnny Brandon, double champion. Good evening.
Evening all.
Mr. Tony Kloosterman is currently missing in action. So it was going to be two double champions. And then at the last minute, our guest driver for tonight, Mr. Nicole Foggy, double champion, so everything worked out in the end, has agreed to join us. So welcome to the booth, Nicole.
Good eve.
It's very nice to have you in here. And I'd like to say it's very nice to have somebody sensible in here for a change with me, rather than the two that we normally have. So what we've got for you tonight, everybody, is our usual race review of rounds 18, 19 and 20 from that horrible little track. We'll go through a little bit of the driving standards. I'll run through some standings for everybody if they haven't already checked the website. We'll discuss our driver of the meeting. We've obviously got Nicole with us, so we'll be quizzing Nicole on his second championship. Then we're going to go for some fun awards, which is literally off the cuff. We are going to make it up as we go along. We've got a little bit of iRacing news for you. Nothing much in the way of league news, but we'll see what comes up. And then, as usual, if you've got any questions, especially as we've got Nicole in the booth with us, get them on the YouTube chat and we will do our very best to answer them as well as we possibly can at the end of the show. So, guys, I'll start with you, Johnny. It was a tricky little track, the Mid-Ohio short course, although I didn't race, but it doesn't look that much shorter than the full-length track. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I think it's about 400 yards shorter. That's about it. It was one corner missed out, which you replaced arguably with the shorter ones. It was just a shorter straight after turn one instead of a longer straight, and shortened the back straight as well. But I thought it was a great little track. Very difficult, tight and twisty. I prefer the longer normal version. I've never done that version before, but yeah, I like that circuit. I thought it was good.
Okay, so you ended up on the podium in race one, starting from 6th position. So you must have been happy with that.
Yeah, it was a little bit due to others' self-destruction and misfortune, but yeah, I'll take it. I did mess up qualifying. I should have been a lot higher up, but that's what it was. So yeah, ended up 3rd.
Well, interesting that, because as Nicole is in here, we'll get Nicole's thoughts on the track. But I think I remember you saying I should have been on pole. So, Nicole, what do you think to that?
I would, I think Johnny is generally better than me at these slower tracks. And I did think he was going to get pole, and then I think he mucked it. I was surprised at the lap I put in. It was just it was obviously a good lap, but I just didn't make mistakes in it, which was good. Normally there's a mistake here and there which mucks up your lap, and it's the same with anybody else who should be up near the front of the field. But I just ended up not making any mistakes for some reason. I think I wasn't too worried. I had enough points in my pocket. I just had to really survive the night, I think. So maybe that's why I was a bit more relaxed, made a few less mistakes.
So you started on pole, led every lap, and obviously got the win. What did you think of the track? Do you think we should run there again in the future?
I think it's a good track. I guess it's the turn 1 into turn 2. There's basically no straight, after turn 1. You're just immediately turning back in again. It's a slow corner, and it's constantly slowing down all the way. As soon as you start turn 1, you're slowing down to get that turn 2, and then that's where the massive checkups come in. And I had some good racing around there, but everybody needs to make sure they are looking ahead and thinking about what's happening and watching out for the checkups and not trying to rush too hard into it, especially on lap one. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. So it can be good, but as we saw, there's a few dodgy moments.
Yeah, I think most of the comments that I heard post race was the actual speed difference between the faster guys and the slower guys that were causing the problems. But on to race 2. So Tony Kloosterman got a victory. Johnny started 15th, finished 10th. Did we have some problems?
Yeah, maybe.
Did it involve
Yeah,
a teammate?
it might have done. Not the one that's joined us today, but another one. So rename nameless, Rich. Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a problematic start, I think, and got caught up in somebody else's crash, and then managed to recover and get up to about 6th, and was going quite well. I think I was in front of George at the time, who ended up finishing 2nd, and then yeah, one of my teammates just made a mistake going into said turn 2, and I was the unfortunate victim in the end. So yeah, ended up in 10th.
Well, shit happens.
Indeed.
No, Tony has just managed to join us in the booth. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, Tony.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Not a problem. We're just reviewing race 2 at the moment. Nicole started 17th, finished 4th. So you managed to get up through the field with not many issues.
I mean, there was a whole bunch going on all over the track a lot of the time. So I think I just went nice and easy, I think, most of the time. And you just end up gaining a whole bunch of places when, especially coming out of turn 2, it was mayhem quite a few times into there. And just try not to make any contact, even going on the grass when I had to, just so I didn't, take too much damage. And it just seemed to work all right.
Well, that was a good drive. And Tony, starting 2nd and another victory in the books.
Bit of a gift, actually. Poor result in race 1, and so you benefit in race 2. It deserved by imagination.
Yeah, but that's what the reverse grids do, isn't it? It does mean that even if you do have a bad first race, you've always got that chance to claw it back in the second one. So on to race 3, and a final race of the season, and a win for Johnny Brandon. Started from 6th position, and got up there into the lead. So talk us through that, Johnny.
Yeah, kind of like what Tony said there. I had a bad race too, so it put me fairly high up in 6th. And I think everybody in front of me took each other out in turn 1, and in turn 2, and by the time I come out of turn 2, I was leading. So it was just drive it home from there. So not the most exciting race from my point of view, but as you say, nice to finish the season with a win, however it comes along. Because they've been
a win to win.
Lately. Yeah.
And Nicole, this is going to sound weird, a lowly 8th position. What happened?
Spun it over that hump thing on turns, like the fourth last turn or something. I think Tony touched the grass because I think George was going a bit slow in front of him. He'd just gone off track, and Tony just clipped the grass. I saw George going slow, tried to push it over the hump, and absolutely lost it. So I wouldn't have gained much more anyway, but I don't know, it might have been 4th or something like that. But I was going to say as well, race 2, I had a good race with Chris. It was a wee short one side by side, but that was pretty fun. Also had a good race with Tony in the 3rd race. He did a good job of defending, and especially trying to force me around the outside, force me to go around the outside a lot of the time. That was very tough, especially around this track.
Yeah, I think we got your side-by-side battle with Chris on the broadcast. That was good to watch.
I think they showed a replay of his mistaken spin as well, which I really enjoyed personally.
No, I think that was the one where Foggy's gone off. Has he really?
Yeah, they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Yeah.
That's good.
And Tony, 15th to 7th, so a gain of 8 places. That weren't too bad.
Yeah, well, but I just want to say something about racing with Nickel there. He said that I forced him out to the outside a couple of times, and I think that the racing with Nickel just demonstrates that a couple of guys can go through corners side by side and not touch or be respectful to each other. I know that Nickel got in the back of me one time, and he backed out of it right away, didn't push his way through, and I hope to see more of that next season, where people are actually racing and not barging their way through the field, because it's unfortunate. I think this year we saw way too much of the there's a gap, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to use my bumper to do it. So
Yeah, well, maybe we'll look at the penalty system and see if we can cut that out. But overall, we talk about driving standards. I wasn't in the race, but I did watch the broadcast. There seemed to be some, how can I put this nicely, robust moves going on, but we do tend to get that on tracks like this. But start with you, Johnny. Did you see much naughty going on, or was it mainly racing incidents?
Yeah, I don't really believe in racing incidents, so we won't go down that road too much.
net code?
As for naughty, I think there was plenty of naughty going on, but whether it was deliberate naughty or mistakes naughty, there was plenty of both, I think, or they are kind of one in the same thing. But I couldn't actually name names apart from my teammate when he took me out, Rich. But
he deserves to be named.
Yeah, he doesn't make mistakes very often. Same as people do. People should take it personally. If make a mistake, have it pointed out and move on and learn from it. It's a tricky track. I saw some noses being stuck in watching back replays and turning people around and watching people street. There was some dodgy stuff going on. Whether it was the last round and people just thought, what the hell? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't really make any difference.
It shouldn't at all, and neither should the track.
No,
in my opinion. So
I agree. Everybody's got to drive the track and respect the other drivers on it. But we haven't had any protests in yet. But if we do get any protests and somebody has done something wrong, then the penalties will get carried over to the next season. So we try to be fair like that. And Tony, something that stuck out in my mind was the concertina accident with yourself, Chris, and Marco.
Yeah, unfortunate. Marco panicked, and he saw Johnny coming up behind him pretty rapidly, I guess. And Marco gave it a shot of gas, got into the back of Chris. Chris got back into the back of me, and unfortunately, we both ended up off track. And Marco carried on to fourth place. And I guess that goes back to what I was trying to say earlier, is that I think we all need to be a little better at the race starts, because too often this stuff's happening.
Okay, and Nicole, you didn't seem to have too many problems apart from yourself.
Yeah, indeed. I think obviously you got to take like netcode, and we're on American servers, so everybody has different pings and stuff. So that can affect.
You're not allowed to say netcode in here, mate. Johnny doesn't agree with it.
I take it back. But yeah, as I said already, I think just people need to keep enough space. I don't know. It's difficult. We've got different skill ranges in this, and some people haven't driven the car as much as others, or driven in as much traffic as that. And I think some people have had a lot of experience. Like I've had a lot of experience in the TCR, for example, where you're really close together all the time, 2 lanes of traffic constantly, and you just have to try get sort of a balance of trying to push a little bit sometimes, but also holding back, having just enough space so that you can brake if needed, and
We
avoid too much
deliberately
contact.
practice that, don't we?
Yeah. Helps a lot. Helps a lot doing that practice, which I think a lot of people probably don't do. We didn't do it for a long time, and then we decided to start doing just battle practice, really. See what moves you can make, and it's okay if you take each other out. At least you learn something from that. And then also spend time trying to make moves, but also not take each other out. See what you can do while still being safe. And it takes a long time to build that up, I think. Especially in a car like this, V8 is such a difficult car to drive, and then you panic and you lock up, or a lot of things can go wrong in this car. So it takes a lot of experience as well.
Yeah, I think I can't disagree with either of you on that. There are a lot of people. I shouldn't really talk about practice because I'm arrive and drive, but there are a lot of people that just practice on their own and concentrate on hot laps and things like that. And I've, as a slower driver, I've been in that position myself where, I've struggled at a track, finally nailed the racing line, and then immediately at the start you're on a part of the track that you've never driven on before, and you don't know what the grip level is, and you don't know how to get back to where you should be, and your braking point is different, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. So the more practice you get, like you say, battling each other, seeing how you can set people up for moves, seeing what corners you can go offline and still get grip, all that sort of thing helps.
And
Right.
plus, not only does it do everything you've said, but it's also a hell of a lot of fun. So,
Yep.
it is really good fun to actually practice it. You can spend hours trying to do car setups and this, that, and that. When we do the battling practice, and we just like go out and have a play, basically, it is the most fun you've ever had in a sim. When there's somebody doing the same thing as you, and you're leaving each other space, and you're making the adjustments, and you're swapping around. I mean, we do laps and laps and laps side by side. It's crazy fun. So I highly recommend it.
And again, being probably the world's worst practicer, something I was going to bring up later, but we might as well add it into this little section, is, we do put on a practice session every Thursday, without fail. And the numbers are dwindling in the practice sessions. Now, I know the time doesn't suit everybody. And I know people have other things to do, but if you want to practice with other cars on the track, that is your place to do it. So
I think for us, a problem with those practice sessions, there's a couple of things really. They're only hour-long sessions, which is fair enough because they're replicating the times of day. But because they're all dynamic, generally speaking, for us, where we've had so much going on, we haven't even been in the car before the race, and to try and set the car up in one of those sessions is nigh on impossible. So sometimes we will be in the V8 on a Thursday, but we'll go into our own session with stagnant weather, so we can actually get an idea of what's going on with the car from a lap time point of view, before we can go into a dynamic one. And whenever I have gone in there, it just seems to have turned into like a hot lap thing. So I will join them now, but generally speaking, it's just to see what sort of time zone we should be in for lap times, because I think it's quite competitive with some people that are in there to get the top of the times. There's people who just go in and do a lap or two and put a quick lap in and leave. So that's pretty much all I get from them. Maybe doing a static you know, just it maybe in the hottest temperature, or a static one in the coolest temperature, just for the whole 2 hours or 3 sessions, whatever it is, might be more productive. It would be for us, but then don't expect it to change just for us. It is peculiar why there's not many people going into them sessions.
Yeah, well, it's certainly again something that we can look at, and you know, another little plug. I know it's not going to be on the same tracks that we're racing on, but the Friday night Euro Strength of Field race, you know, that's another one that you can go in and you're guaranteed a battle. So it's all seat time and it's all practicing in and around other cars. You know, you know yourselves, we get, you know, the cream of the crop in it, and we also get people that have never driven the car before, so there's always somebody to race with in that, and there's something on the line. Apologies if you can hear my puppy barking. She's I think she's hungry. I think she's going to come and eat my leg in a minute. Anyway, so, you know, there wasn't a great deal of post-race bitching, which is good. I think we have grown as a group. You know, we had that big discussion, I don't know if it was the end of last season or beginning of this season, you know, about talking to each other. Rather than being a keyboard warrior and putting people down on Discord, you know, actually talk to the person. And, you know, sometimes I've done it myself. You know, I've been involved in accidents, and I've been absolutely steaming in the car, and then afterwards I've looked at the replay and gone, oh shit, that was me. That was nothing to do with that guy. But, you know, we've said before, talk it out with them. So, guys, we're just going to quickly run through some standings, and I'm just going to do the top 3 in each little championship. I'm sure everybody's been on the website and looked at them. But overall champion, so the Racetech Cup champion was Nicole Foggy, second place Johnny Brandon, and third place George McClay. Steve LaValle romped away with the club championship. Moi was second, and Andrew Hoffman in third. In the teams, we had the main XVR Sim Racing team took away that championship. Tony's team, Never Quit Racing Blue, came in second, and the I'm going to be really horrible now. The XVR Junior team, although how anything can be junior with Lane in it, I've got no idea. But they came home third, so they did well. In the Fred Bingham Forever Forward Award, we had George McClay took away the title. Nicole Foggy came in second, and Jamie Wilson in third. And then the Safe Driver Award went to Dominic Saury, with Jamie McKnight in second and Wayne Sanderson in third. So that's that little bit over. Right, so let's put Nicole on the spot straight away. Your driver of the meeting from Mid-Ohio. Johnny, start thinking now.
I am frantically scanning the results list.
I've got no time to think. Well, I think I'm not quite sure yet, but George had very nice pace in race 1. Who else we got? Well, I had a good race with Tony. I had a good race with Chris. It would have been maybe easier to see who was doing a good job if there hadn't been that wee accordion effect at the start of the first race. So I think I'm gonna give it to. I don't know how he did in the second and third.
And you thought I was bad, Clyde. Here we go.
This is deja vu, isn't it?
I'm gonna give it to George.
Okay.
Okay, and Tony, your driver of the meeting from Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, based on results, I give it to George. He had 2 seconds and a fourth. You know, a little ragged in a couple of spots, but he got the result.
And Johnny, come on.
Yeah, from a results point of view, I think George is the only choice really in that one.
Well, that's amazing. We are all
I
going to
think
agree.
Steve did well with a podium in race 3. I'll give him a shout.
Yeah, he certainly did, didn't he? I didn't actually realise until I was doing the results on Sunday morning that Steve got that podium. But I'm going to go with you guys with George. It was a tricky track. 2 reverse grids, and George to come away with 2 seconds and a fourth. I thought he did really well. So we go on to our guest driver now. As you all know, our guest driver is already in here with us. So we're going to fire some questions at you now, Nicole, and put you on the spot. So your second champion, I just realised that. So I'm in here with 3 double champions, so I feel a bit inadequate now. But, your second championship, and I think this one was possibly easier than your first one, Nicole. I know George gave you a good run for your money at the start, but you had total dominance in the endurance events, and you just kept plugging away and scoring the points.
I'd agree with what you say. It was definitely easier than the other one, and I think I said in my interview after the race, a lot of people had a lot of bad luck in a whole bunch of different rounds, and I think maybe I came on top, came out on top because of the endurance rounds, because you get a bunch of points for that. And at the start, I think we had a decent setup to start off with, and then George, I think, was a bit behind for the first round or two, and then he started to get some stuff in the setup. And then got on pace with us, and so yeah, maybe that's why it was a bit easier than the last time.
And something that Sam asked you in the interview on Saturday night. So like I've said, Johnny Brandon, double champion; Tony Kloosterman, double champion; Nicole Foggy, double champion. We've never had a back-to-back champion since season 2 when Tony did it. What are the chances of you being back to try and defend your crown and become the first triple champion of V8ESC?
I think they're pretty high. It's one of my favorite cars, the V8, and I've been I've been trying to do it for like 3 years, trying to understand setups. I've just got nowhere until sort of about Christmas time, where little tweaks and stuff I would have an idea of what to do. So yeah, learned a lot in this car, compared to what I had before. So I'd really like to keep going with it. So yeah, I think there's quite a high chance of me coming back and trying to defend my title.
And Johnny, just while we're on that, obviously you want to chase your third title as well, but you're up against your teammate. Does that make it harder?
No, not really. I won't be so nice next season.
Man, then, mate.
We'll be fighting.
And Tony, these guys have equaled you as a double champion. You must have the bit between your teeth for next season to be that man that becomes the triple champion first off.
Well, I think we'd all like it, but I think the reality is that I just don't have the pace of these guys anymore. And we're seeing some other quick fellas join the league and having some speed. So, I'll be happy if I can make the podium at the end of the year next year. It was a dreadful season for me, this one, and I need to get a little bit of confidence back.
Okay, that's fair enough. So back to Nicole. As Tony's just said there, we have got some fast drivers in this series. There are not many people will bet against you or Johnny to win season 9, but in my eyes, there are a number of drivers that can take that championship away. We see Johnny's championship was over. It wasn't over, but it was over right at the start because he had a crap start to the season. As did Tony. but you've got George, who is always there and thereabouts, and is getting quicker. Marco Namella, Richard Allsop, they seem to have found something. Steve LaValle's right up there now. Rich Warmingham's up there. Chris Jackson can win races. I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but there are a lot of challenges to you, to stop you getting that third title. Not at least your teammate Johnny Brandon.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I think Johnny is. I think Johnny's on pace with me. I think he's just put in less practice than I've been putting in, and it definitely makes a difference the amount of practice that you do. Who else? Yeah, George, definitely always up there, and he's sometimes faster as well. I mean, I think it depends a bit on the setup as well and how he's doing with it, because he's basically doing the setup on his own, I think. Whereas me and Johnny can sort of bounce off each other ideas and stuff to try and get somewhere. Who else? Yeah, Marco and Richard. I already knew they were fast anyway, and then I think they put in a whole bunch of practice, as I think Marco was talking about at one point.
And there might be some more RKE guys coming as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, that seems to be the rumor.
Quick boys.
Yeah, they had a bit of a takeover, didn't they, a couple of weeks ago in the Friday night race?
They did indeed, yeah. So scared of them. And Tony and Chris can definitely be up there a lot of the time, and have qualified ahead of us in first and second a few times, I think. So there's still two to watch out for, definitely.
I have to say on that, sorry, Chris is one of the fastest people in this car, 100% over one lap all day long. He arguably, top 300% over one lap, Chris. And Tony talking about losing a bit of pace and this, that, and the other. I'm not having that. Tony's got serious pace in this car. He's had a terrible year, like I did, worse than what I've had from a luck point of view, and he's made some mistakes himself. I think he'll be the first to admit that. But it's not been a good year. But I'm not gonna say that he's not a threat, because he's definitely got pace. So
and I think
they'll be there.
Yeah, I think the other one I'd throw into the mix there that I forgot about was Jamie McKnight.
No, he's nothing to worry about.
But he is a point hoarder. He's always up there. You don't see nothing of him in the race, and then you look at the results and he's coming fourth or something like that. So yeah, he's always been a dark horse for me. So
Jamie's always a dark horse. I think he focuses on his practice time on other series.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
The car, and it's basically a seat time series for him. So the fact that he does so well, I think, is pretty bloody impressive. I don't know how much time he does put into this from a practice point of view, but I don't think it's a lot. And in which case, then it's pretty impressive, because the standard has definitely gone up this season. I think there's a lot more rapid people here. So yeah, if they all stay in and even more turn up, then it's going to be pretty unbelievably hard next season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think you're going to well. Go on, Tony. Sorry.
I think you'll see some more pace out of Jamie next season. This season he joined us as the third car to ensure that we got points in the races, and he actually ended up doing the best of any of us, and we kind of held him back this year. So next year we'll see some more pace out of Jamie, and not driving maybe as conservatively as he did this year.
Yeah, and like Johnny says, we've picked up a few people as well from that Friday night thing that we're doing. So there's been some really, really quick guys in there, giving you guys up the front a run for your money. So hopefully we can get them interested in a bit of league racing, and make it even more difficult for one of you guys to take away a third championship.
Yeah, and if we can pull Greg Carr out of the Porsche, then maybe we'll get him back because he can be competitive as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of a love affair going on there, isn't there? So, Nicole, let's just talk about your endurance dominance. Is it because you enjoy endurance racing, although most of the racing I've ever seen you in is sprint racing, or was it just the endurance tracks that we had this season were high up on the Nicole Foggy I love these tracks list?
Mainly that, I think. What was it? Norseleife and Bathurst. What was the other one?
Brands Hatch.
Oh, Brands Hatch. Yeah. I guess actually those are three that but my two favorite tracks, Norseleife and Bathurst. So yeah, that's definitely was helpful. And then Brands Hatch. I've always liked that track. I know Johnny. I think Johnny hates it anyway, but I've always liked it anyway. It's a fun
Johnny
track.
hates all the tracks.
Yeah, and it's got a lot. They've the main thing that all three of them have got in common is that they've got a lot of undulation and ups and downs and curves of the tarmac and stuff. And I just find these ones really fun, and the ones with walls as well. For some reason, I like it when there's a lot of walls.
So what tracks don't you like then?
What's it called? Gilneuve.
Oh, Circuit
Montreal.
Villeneuve.
That's it. That's got walls, but I think it's just those chicanes with the curbs that you have to try and work out what way to take them. If I put the time in, it's maybe all right, but I've never enjoyed that track for some reason. But I don't know.
I was just going to say, don't misinterpret that, Clyde. That doesn't mean he's slow there.
No, I was
experience.
Yeah, I was just feeling a bit sorry for Nicole then, because obviously next season is 1 round at Bathurst and 11 at Montreal. So we'll see what happens. So Tony, anything you would like to ask Nicole before we move on?
How did you get so lucky this year? It seems like you avoided everything, everything in every race.
I got taken out a few times, but yeah, I think it's maybe like from the Kia League that I did 2 seasons of that, and then I've been doing did the TCR, and I'm doing the TCR just now, and that you need to just. I don't know. You take in what's going on in front of you, but then you need to still think about what's left and right and leave enough space for things to go wrong, maybe. And maybe I just happen to leave enough space for that. I think maybe as well, the other thing that helps is maybe, I don't know who else is on VR, but at least in those times when I'm going slower, I'm not taking the racing line, I can have a quick glance to my left or my right just to see if there's anything extra going on that I wouldn't normally have been able to see. So maybe that's helped a bit as well.
And I have another question, and this isn't a poke, so don't take it as a poke. But in the last couple of weeks, we've seen you make more mistakes, I think, in the last 2 weeks than you have probably in 2 seasons. So what's going on there? Are you getting bored up front, or what's going on?
That's true. I don't really know. I got annoyed with myself when I made those mistakes. I think... I mean, maybe it was thinking that I had the pace and I didn't have to worry so much, and then that makes me make a dumb mistake. But I could say that it's my wheel and pedals. My pedals at the moment, the heel plate, I've got to adjust it so it's a bit higher than the default setting. It's the Husingveld sprints. Just got them recently, and then the lowest height extenders snapped. So I'm on the really high ones right now, and it's horrible. I hate it. And my wheel as well is about to break. It's crackling and squeaking and stuff. So I've got it on like 20% force feedback. And I don't know if, I can't remember what it's like to have proper force feedback. But, you get more from the road and what the car's doing. But I've heard that, from the other side, people that don't use force feedback are faster or something. I don't know. So maybe there's a few reasons why I've made those mistakes. I don't quite know.
And what happened at Bathurst on Friday? You turned some 209 laps or something. Were you short on fuel?
Once again, yes, I miscalculated the fuel. Bad maths as you.
It's because I wasn't there. If Foggy's left to his own devices with fuel, it's never good for us. Nobody listens to Foggy when he talks about fuel in XBR. It's yeah, I think there was one race where the last time we did listen to him, 4 of us ran out of fuel. So it doesn't happen anymore.
Indeed.
So number 1 on your shopping list then, Nicole, is a fuel calculator for next season.
Well, yeah, if you look on the XVR website that we've got now, we've actually invented our own fuel calculator, and that was inspired by Nicole.
So go on, Nicole.
I was going to say, I actually downloaded finally Crew Chief last night, but I can't get it working. So hopefully, once I get it working, I'll never run out of fuel again. We'll see.
Yeah, I like Crew Chief. Apart from it keeps swearing at me because I'm slow. So yeah, but it is funny. Johnny, I know obviously you quiz Nicole all the time, but is there anything you would like to ask Nicole in public about the V8s?
Not really. I think we got a good team over at XVR. We're all pretty close and get on, and we'll share everything and chat and have a laugh. I don't think there's anything I can think of that I wouldn't already know. Yeah.
Well, you want to know my prices? It's £100.
Yeah, your tuition fees.
Tuition.
How much are they? Yeah. Do I get a teammate discount?
Nope.
Ah,
Or just to pre-warn you, Lane has woke up, so we'll keep that quiet. Right, guys. So that's Nicole. Nicole's obviously going to stick around with us till the end. So we're at that point now. We're at the end of the season, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot with some awards now. I'm going to start with Nicole because it makes it easier.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Who would be your driver of the season? And in this instance, you are not allowed to say yourself. So just thinking back over the races and the good races you've had and the bad races you've had, who would be your standout driver of the season?
Oh, we're going to do the same thing again. Well, Marco did well getting up the pace, but he didn't have it at the start. I can't remember exactly where he was at the start, but obviously towards the end he really picked it up, and he was up at the very front. So maybe it won't give it to him because he wasn't up there the whole time. Who else? Wayne Sanderson, I thought did really well. He had some good racecraft and had some good pace. I think he built up the pace a bit over the season as well. And there's too many people.
You've got to pick one.
Can you come back to me?
You're making me look great. Why can't you be like this on the racetrack?
Okay, well, we'll go back to Nicole then. We'll let him clear the brain fog. Tony, who would be your standout driver for the season? But you can't say Nicole and you can't say yourself.
Well, would be myself anyway. So I would say you're going to want one name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to agree with Nicole that Marco was admirable, especially near the end of the season. Same with Richard Alsop. I think that if we get past the top 3 or 4 or 5 in the podium race, we look at some of the guys that improved the most.
That's a separate award.
Okay. I would go with McClay just for his steadiness throughout the season. He didn't score the most points, but he was pretty steady throughout the season.
Okay, and Johnny, you've had plenty of time to think. You're not allowed to say yourself. You're not allowed to say Nicole.
I've George for me, McClay. I think was the was the standout guy. I think he got unlucky at the end of the season. I think he had good pace all the way through. And yeah, George for me.
Fair enough. And Nicole, have you had a think yet?
Well, I just saw what Lane said. He said me in the chat, and I thought, yeah, he did. He did
I'm
really
pretty
well.
sure there'll be another category for Lane coming up.
But he did really well at the start of the season, especially, and for a good wee while into it as well, because we were all practicing the V8s, and I thought he was doing great in them. He really was, and then he just didn't do as much practice, and I could tell he wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. So, sadly, he will not get it. So, and I don't think it was in the last round either. So yeah, I think actually I'll agree with the other two that George was very consistent. Sure, some unlucky rounds and stuff, but he was the most consistent out of anybody, I think. So yeah, give it to George as well.
Okay, so from me, I agree with what you guys say. Marco from the second half of the season onwards was phenomenal. I am going to go controversial, and I'm going to say Johnny Brandon, purely for the rotten start that he had to the season, and then to get the results and end up second overall in the championship. So yeah, that's my choice. Another
All
category.
embarrassed.
You should be. You should be. Thanks for the money as well. Now, most improved driver is the next one.
That's an easy one for me.
I'm going to look at. And as it's an easy one for Johnny, we will start with Johnny.
Marco. 100%. Most
Okay.
improved. Along with Richard also. Okay, guys, they come, people could pick up a second a lap in the back of the field, but to find that last half a second jump, 7/10 jump that's the hardest one to find. And it looks like they may have even found a little bit more. So, but for me, Marco.
Okay. And Tony, most improved driver?
I agree with Johnny that Marco would be my choice, but I think that there's a half a dozen guys that are all deserving of that award. So we saw really good improvement in the mid pack.
Yeah,
okay. Nicole.
I would agree about Marco. Definitely massive improvement, proper jumps and improvement. Nothing else to say about that. It was obvious.
Okay, well, I'm going to disagree with all of you again, and I'm going to get Lane all excited now and say it's an XVR sim racing team member, and it's not Lane O'Connor. I think it was Steve Lavalley was my most improved driver over the season. He showed to me. He showed patches of pace in previous seasons, but this season he was on it from the start and had some absolutely fantastic results and romped away with the club championship once Greg fell in love with the Porsche. So it'll be Steve Lavalley from me.
I think that is a real shame Greg's fallen in love with the Porsche, because he was having some serious pace with this car. And just at that point, he seems to have gone off it. So,
Greg had an amazing jump in pace. I think Tony will agree. When the new cars came out, it was like a duck to water. And just he was just away up the road and loving the car and all the rest of it. But we all try other things, and sometimes we enjoy driving other cars. So I'm sure Greg will be back at some point.
GT4, 911.
I think he's doing the 911, isn't he, Tony?
Yeah, the 911 last season did extremely well in the series and the Cup car, and now they're going to be doing the Cayman next year. a car that I actually just drove for the first time today because there's a Cayman competition in Canada for Porsche,
It's awesome.
and it's like driving a shopping trolley at Woolworths, honestly.
I've never looked forward to a car coming out so much. I've been so disappointed. I have to say.
Oh my God, it's I don't know, it has no
I
feel
prefer
to
the
it.
TCR, and that's front-wheel drive. That tells you how bad the Cayman is.
Right, guys. So that's the end of our little awards there. Unless any of you guys want to come up with an award off the cuff. Worst driver, dodgiest accent, shittiest paint.
I don't know about any other rounds, but I did actually have at one point 2 good sort of side by sides with, I think it was Jamie Wilson and his teammate. Is it Joshua Chin?
Josh Chin, yeah.
And I did actually have a good side by side with him. I think it was maybe at Silverstone or something. Did we do Silverstone? I don't know. It was somewhere anyway, and yeah, it was 2 good side by sides with them, which I didn't expect because I'd never actually, you often you end up. It's hard giving out these rewards, I think, because you're like I'm normally at the front of the pack, or I'm racing around, sort of the guys that are same pace as me, and I don't really think about too much the other people in the field, where they'll be thinking about all the people around them. So it's quite hard to judge how much somebody's improved and different things over the season. So anyway, those 2. Good race with them. Don't know how they did the rest of the time.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think those 2 with more time in the car will be serious contenders. And Wayne Sanderson as well. I think he's right up there. So, okie dokie. So let's move on then. iRacing news. This is where we quiz and find out if anything's going on. Obviously, the known one is the BMW M4 GT4. So I know Tony is V8 all the way, but Johnny, are you looking forward to that?
Yes, I'm slightly apprehensive because of my previous excitement for the Porsche Cayman and being so disappointed. So yeah, I'm gonna wait and see this time, but I'm hopeful. Yeah.
Nicole, is it something that you're going to look at?
Yeah, I think me and John wanna. Well, I know John's wanting to do it. So when the Cayman came out, I did pretty much nothing of it. So I thought it'd be good to spend a bit of time actually trying to focus on it with John and whoever else in the team is wanting to do it, and try to learn something in the car and get some setups going, hopefully.
And Tony, obviously you've just bought the Porsche GT4, and you don't sound very impressed. Is that likely to stop you buying the BMW, or would you buy the BMW hoping that it's better than the Porsche?
I'm going to buy the BMW just to give it a whirl around and test drive it. So I'm in a way I am looking forward to driving it. I've always wondered what it would be like. So hopefully it's decent.
Okay, so staying with you, Tony, you're our man in the field. Anything else going on iRacing wise that we should know about?
Well, apparently we're getting some new sounds, which will be good. The Audio X2 or something like that. I'm not sure what it is. So, and the other thing that I saw in the release notes was that they're doing some multi-core threading now. So maybe that will make it easier on our CPUs and actually give more stability to us racing. So I'm looking forward to that.
And
Chris will actually be able to race.
I was going to say it might help Chris.
Actually, Chris's problems seem to have disappeared now, and it was a sound card issue, I believe. Sound drivers, I think it was.
Yeah, now he's got another problem, hasn't he? He's found out that his wife is quicker than him. So, yeah, we might have Mary Jackson next season and not Chris Jackson.
Yeah, well, his racing is going to be curtailed. They're expecting their second one in 3 weeks, so he'll be busy changing diapers as opposed to passing cars.
Johnny, anything that you've heard on the grapevine?
I've heard the Red Bull ring is coming.
Yeah, no, I heard that the other day. And I
Yeah,
can't remember where I
which
heard
would
it. but-
be quite cool. It's a pretty cool track. Any new track's good. I don't know how soon, but I know it's not far away. From what I heard, I don't know if Tony knows anything about.
I heard rumor about it, but yeah, nothing concrete. I want Long Beach to be finished.
Yeah, that was going to be my thought was, we had that little teaser that they was going to finish it off, but it's all gone quiet on that front. So
That's probably why they need this multi CPU thing going on to be able to actually
could be, yeah.
long.
Yeah, just to render everything that's there. Nicole, I don't know what sort of circles you move in iRacing, but do you get any rumours of any new content or anything new that's coming?
Nah, no, I don't get any rumors. I don't know anything about that. But I did have a read of the release notes the other day, and what was it? Oh, there's it looks like they're updating a bunch of the cars that have the new damage model. That I don't know if you know about. Like, I imagine there was issues with other cars, but for example, with a TCR, if you hit into the back of somebody and tap them, kind of, or not even if you hit into the back of them, you just rub against them, and the cars will hook together, and you can't get off sometimes, and the front car will just spin off, and the car behind is just hooked and just follows it off onto the grass. It's a weird thing. So hopefully some of the updates that they seem to be saying they've done with the damage model will get rid of some any glitchy stuff. Also, stuff like tires flying off and then they suddenly appear back on the car again. I don't know if that's a server issue or just yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I had that with wing mirrors. I did the Porsche GT4 at Bathurst last night whilst very ill. And there was cars brushing the wall. Wing mirror would like fly through your car, and then you go around the next corner and they've got their wing mirror back on again. So yeah, that was a bit weird.
Yeah, and similar thing happened to me. I was at Sebring coming out the final corner. Car in front of me clips the tires on the outside. His wheel comes flying off, smashes into my bonnet, causes a whole bunch of damage. Like I'm proper down on top speed, and then his wheel's just back on his car again.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I see in the release notes, which it won't really excite anybody, but I got a little bit yee about it, was the ability to have a drive-through penalty rather than a stop-and-go penalty. So that's something that I'm going to look at for the league for next season with our incident limits. So yeah, there's obviously we've got week 13 starting tomorrow. Let the carnage begin, as they say. I'm going to try and avoid it like the plague, like I usually do. We will. We're back in July, obviously, with our new season. Media Day is on July the 11th. There is, apart from that, there isn't really any league news about. I've got to get together with the admins and decide if there's any tweaks we need to do for next season. Like the drive-through penalty instead of the stop-and-go penalty and things like that. We're gonna slightly change what we're doing with race control and after the race protest, but it's not a major change involved there. It's just somebody new coming on board.
If you guys are doing the broadcast, you might be able to do live stewarding.
Well,
rather than incursions, because you get hit twice up the rear by somebody and then you get a drive through. It's not very fair. But if you've got live stewards watching, that's out of order, right? You got a drive through, and you could trigger it somehow in the room. That could be amazing.
There is somebody that I'm talking to at the moment that may be interested in live stewarding. But I just need to make sure said person can make all the rounds, because I don't want to go, oh, sorry, guys, there's no live steward in this round. So it would be very good if we could get this person to do it. They can do all the rounds and then everything is consistent. But again, I need to have that conversation properly before I take it to the rest of the admins. And yeah, it's it's definitely worth a try. Anything that makes things better. On the whole, there's not going to be a great deal of change. Anybody that listened to my interview that I did with Apex, I personally, I know we do differ in here sometimes, but I personally think we've got the correct format. Difference being next year is that Backfire Simsport TV are taking over the broadcasts, so we are not time limited anymore. So the races are a bit longer. The super sprints will stay at 15 minutes, but the feature races are going up to 30. And the endurance races are going up to an hour. And then we've got the Bathurst endurance round, which we're calling the Bathurst 300, which is going to be 75 laps. So that's going to be a long one. So yeah, that's really it for the league news. The other thing, it was before Tony came in today, we was talking about doing a pre-season podcast where I can put the guys on the spot. I can ask them their predictions for the season and that sort of thing. So we will get our heads together and come up with a date for that and let you all know. So did we get any questions from anybody? Let's have a look. Yes, we have. So we've got a question from Nikolai, and I believe this is to Nicole. Do you ever get tired of supercars?
Not yet, anyway. And I guess that these new ones have just come out, and they do feel to me a bit different than the old ones. And
in a better way.
For me, yeah, I don't know if it's just I've gotten better as a driver, because I think I've gotten better as a driver in all cars. So maybe I can handle the V8s better now, or it's just I've had more experience in the V8s. I mean, I did put a lot in at Christmas, and I just find them really fun. They are really fun because you have to control the brakes, control the throttle, and really focus on what you're doing. You can't just TCR front wheel drive. If you lose it, just accelerate and it flicks back round again, and you don't really feel much from the TCR either. So I find it really boring. Whereas V8 cars doing a lot. There's a lot you can do with the setup as well. So I've learned a lot from that. So yeah, I mean, I've not got bored of it yet. We'll see.
And Tony, same question to you as well, because ever since I've known you, you've been a pure V8 man. I know you've driven other things, but you're always in the V8s, whether it's our league, either of the series that we run, the strength of field race. There's the Americas thing. You've dabbled with the Scops. Do you ever get tired of driving the V8 and thinking, I think next season I'll drive something different?
Based on this year's performance, maybe I should. No, I don't get tired of it. I think
the Jetta is good.
Yeah, I tried the Kia once and the Porsche, the Cup car, but I enjoy the supercar. I think that's it's quite a challenge, and maybe one of the more difficult cars to race in the series. I am going to do the Porsche Cayman series here in Canada. We've got a very short 4-week competition for Canadian residents to win a Porsche driving experience. So Chris and I are going to give that a shot. But the first few laps of driving that car have left me wanting a lot more.
And when you say Chris, you obviously mean Mary.
Well, Mary may be driving for him, but hopefully no one finds out and he doesn't lose any of his sponsorship.
Yeah, so anyone listening on here, that's top secret. Chris does put a ringer in sometimes, but you never heard it from us. Johnny, let's go full circle. Since you've joined us, you've been with us every season. We occasionally see you in the official races. We know you drive a lot of other things. Every time I put a broadcast on, it seems to be Johnny and Nicole in it somewhere. Some of the things you said to me about this car, you love it, don't you? It's what you want out of iRacing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's about the racing. The racing's got to be clean. That's what I enjoy. That's the attraction for me, as opposed to the driving. I like the racing. I would much rather be in a battle with somebody for 10 laps than go into first place in race 3 and be nowhere and not see anybody for 15 minutes. It's pretty boring. The car is a handful. So I probably do enjoy driving this car more than any other car because it is difficult. But the racing needs to be good for me, and it is generally. But then that's why I drive the other cars. The racing in the TCR, generally speaking, where we race it is great. And various other things. We're going to do a bit of endurance racing. Coming up this season, going to get into the BMW. I like to try the different cars. I enjoy it, but I do like this car. It's definitely my favourite car, but it's all about the good racing for me. If the racing standards deteriorate too much, then that finishes me off.
Okay.
A genuine question for Tony. I know he said he's racing the Porsche Cayman this season in this little league, but apart from that and in previous seasons, is it just the V8 supercar? You don't drive anything else?
I haven't driven anything else for quite a while. I drove the Cadillac initially for a couple of seasons, and I drove Porsche, one of the Porsche series, for a season, and the Kia for one
Was
season.
that when it was the C-Spec?
Yeah,
Rough,
yeah.
wasn't it? That's what I come up with. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was probably the last 3 years. It's been exclusively the car. So I haven't seen anything else that really interested me too much, and
You don't fancy the endurance events, like the special events, the Le Mans and the 24 hours of the Nürburgring and things like that. Different.
Maybe as a one-off, depending on schedule and that, our team has put together a team usually, for the Bathurst event anyways. But that is a supercar, and we've done Daytona 24 before, but all the schedules need to work out.
Fair enough.
Okay, so next question, and I'll tell you what, I'll ask. The question is for Nicole, and I'll ask him the question. But before he gives the answer, I want him to guess who asked the question. So the question is, will you ever give John a sniff of first place? Who asked that question?
I'm going to say Lane.
Well done. 100 points to Nicole for next season. So will you ever give him a sniff of first place, or are you looking to bury the myth that is Johnny Brandon next season?
I'm going to bury him.
Yeah, that's what we like to
buried
hear.
Already. I'm trying to resurrect it.
And if he tries to get out, then I'm just going to,
He's waiting with a shovel. Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. We've got another one. This one's from Bill. It's for Foggy, and it's got Lane involvement in it. Foggy, is it true that you are Harry Potter? Lane told me that you were.
I've already answered that in the chat. Yes, I am Harry Potter. I wear a purple wizard hat, and Lane already.
We thought that. Somebody did tell me a while ago that you only had a little wand. And the next, last, we've got a serious question. This is from Wayne Sanderson, and I presume it is for me. Wayne has said, will you oversubscribe the league numbers to get higher actual race participation? Well, that this season was the first season that we charged. We didn't like to, but we sort of come up with an idea of rather than charging people for the race, we'll call it a retainer fee. And we got 60 people signed up, and I can't remember what our biggest grid was, but it was probably touching 40. So you always get those people that just sign up to everything but then never participate. The trouble with going over that 60 limit is if I signed up 80 people and then all the stars and moons aligned and 80 people turned up, we've got 20 angry people who have paid and not been able to race. So I think for
you could arguably set up another room. Say it's on a first come first serve, set up another room to accommodate the numbers, although it would be broadcast. But
yeah, the only trouble you've got with that is don't get me wrong, I love seeing new guys in the series, but to me, you look after the people that you've got first, and then you concentrate on the new people. It's a bit like the deals that get offered. You see an advert on the telly for new subscribers only. I think that's a load of rubbish. You're supposed to look after the people that you've got. So I don't think
loyalty.
Yeah, personally, I don't think we could do it because of some of the tracks are limited on grid spots and things like that. So 60 is a nice number to get the money in. Don't get me wrong. But I think a grid of between 30 and 40 is nice in these cars. When you go over, you tend to get a lot of problems. And we've even proved, especially with the Endurance Cup that we've done, and even a couple of the Friday night broadcasts that we've done, you don't always need a lot of cars to have exciting racing. You just need the right racers in there with the right, similar abilities and that sort of thing. So yeah, Wayne, that I get the idea behind it to get the grids up, but the trouble is if everything does line up and we get everybody turn up at the same time, then it's going to be a big no-no and makes the league look a bit daft. So I did warn people this season, if you're going to miss 3 races and you don't let me know, then you're going to get removed from the league. And we opened up more places and we had people join in right throughout the season. So, I don't think it really hinders our membership by putting that 60 limit on, and then people that don't race, we remove them from the league. They've lost their money and somebody else takes their place. So hopefully that answered your question.
We had some people join near the end of the season, did we not?
We did, yes. We got a few drivers actually from doing the Friday night thing, so that was good. And the drivers that joined right at the end of the season, I'm going to be Mr. Generous, and I'm not going to charge them for next season. So I will have a look at the participation, and I will be letting those people know that if they want to carry on, they don't have to pay again. But everybody else, I want your money again. And it's not a lot. It's a £5.
Oh my God, I haven't worked for 2 months.
I know that's a lie.
Worked for 3 years.
Sorry, I didn't joke about that. People in a serious situation.
Just seeing on the screen a big pile up. We are. Like I say, we will sit down as an admin team, have the discussion, and I think we need to have that 60 car limit. If there's a lot of people over 60, we have a reserve list. I don't think it'll go that way. I think people sign up, probably do a race, and go, "Oh, this car's shit," and then they disappear. They don't give it the time to the seat time to be able to drive it properly, like you guys up the front do. I can't. I certainly can't drive it. I've followed Nicole on track. I've followed Tony on track, and I can't even use the same braking points, let alone anything else. But that is the way you get better in this car is seat time. So Wayne, I hope that answered your. Don't forget, there's 3 extra spots next season anyway, because myself, Bill Switzer, and Pete Bingham. Actually, there'll be 4 because Sam will be on the cameras as well. So we'll be stepping away from the races to do the broadcast. So there's 4 spots that are going to be extra anyway, and we'll see. We'll see what we get. We don't do a great deal of advertising, believe it or not. The league advertises itself, and most of the drivers we get hear about the league from other drivers that are in the league, saying how good the league is. So that's got to be a good thing, definitely. Johnny, as a tradesman, you must. I don't know how good a tradesman you are.
I get more
careful
work
here.
I get more work from word of mouth than I ever done spending thousands on advertising. So.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. We got no other questions, guys, and we've been prattling on for over an hour. So let's just go through the room. Johnny, anything else you want to mention before we close things off?
Not really. Just say thank you to you for all the work you and the people in the background put in to running the series. It's been great. Obviously, congratulations to Nicole for being the season 8 champion and giving me something to motivate me again. Can't wait to try and challenge him for it next year.
You'll never catch me.
Oh yeah, dream on, son. I'm gonna try. And lastly, good luck to Tony. We've had our differences, and I don't like hearing him sound as deflated as he has done lately and talking about lack of confidence. He can definitely do it. He's definitely still got the pace, and I hope he's back for next season right at the front, which I'm sure he will be.
I'm sure he will be as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to abuse him for the next month, so he'll be fired up for next season. Tony, anything you'd like to say before we close?
Well, I think that was very kind of Johnny to say that, and we have had our differences, and I think part of that is just competitiveness, and I certainly made an ass of myself at Suzuka. And I paid for that for the rest of the year. So, next year hopefully will be better. I love the league. I think that we have some really, really good competitors. And, I think that we've seen some brilliant racing, through the last number of seasons. So it's, it's something I look forward to, and I'm not going to go away. I just may be a little further down the leaderboard, that's all. Congratulations to XVR and to Nicole and the whole team, actually, because really, really good pace and improvement from some of the other drivers on that team as well. I want to thank all my teammates for everything that they do as well. Hopefully Gary Croft will get through his medical issues and be able to join us next year. And Chris is a bit of a iffy right now. We'll have to see how baby number 2 impacts his schedule. And I'm going to do my best to get Greg back on track with us. So we'll see where that goes. But, I've thoroughly enjoyed the league, and we'll see how things go next season.
I think with Chris, you're probably better off getting Chris to do the babysitting and Mary to do the driving.
You might finish a race, Tony.
Nicole, you're our champion. Any words you would like to add for our final podcast of the season?
Well, just same as what Johnny said. Thanks to you guys for running the league, and I'm looking forward to the broadcast by you, especially. And I think I said to you, Clyde, the other day that I think Sam Boozen does a really good job with the cameras, catches a lot of the action. So looking forward to watching the broadcast back as well. And as well, I'm going to look forward to, hopefully, I don't know how many of them come in, and I don't know who are in the team, but what's it called? Racecraft. I think there's definitely going to be a strong front, I don't know, top sort of, maybe top 10 sort of guys, including all the top runners from this season. So it could be pretty close next season, so I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry, I was in mid-cider swig there. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next season. It's going to be a bit different for me, being behind the mic instead of being behind the wheel. Some would say that's a good thing.
Safer for the rest of us. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing the broadcast. We do have a light-hearted broadcast team. We're gunning for you guys next season. One mistake and you're just getting abuse. But we do take it fairly serious, and this sort of all took off not so long ago, as you know. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. My personal congratulations to, especially to Nicole for taking away the big one, and getting up there as the third member of the double club. Congratulations to everybody else that took away the minor championships.
Nico hasn't got quite as many race wins as me yet, has he?
No.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
No, you're
Yeah,
still
just
top of that one. Tony did peg you back in the second race, but then you went and won the third race, so you got, you was away again. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Big thanks to Racetech for sponsoring us. We're about to have a conversation about next season, so stay tuned for that. I get a lot of credit for this league, but I'm not the only one that organises things. Dave Jansen does all the artwork in the background. Sam has rebuilt the website from the ground up. I'm definitely going to forget people here, and JP. I know he doesn't really race with us anymore, but he's always there with Tony and Dave, as doing the race stewards. And Tony is my rock for this series. If ever I've got a problem that I need to solve around the series, Tony's my go-to man. The multiple cock-ups that I make, Tony's usually the first one to say, Clyde, what you're doing, sort it out. So yeah, I'd like to thank all the team and especially Tony for the help he gives me. I'd like to thank, I don't know if they watch this, but I would like to thank Apex Racing TV. They've done a fantastic job for us. Sam and Marco, I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but, the knowledge of the series that they've had, I've obviously been involved in this series from the start, but the way those guys can reel off what happened in round 3 in season 2, it baffles me. I can't remember what I had for dinner 2 hours ago. And lastly, I'd like to thank all the drivers that have raced. We've had 53 drivers in the championship this year. We've had the good old faithful drivers that are with us season in, season out. We've picked up some new drivers that I'm sure are going to give, especially you three in here, they're going to give you a hell of a time next season. But again, as I said in the Apex interview, the league is nothing without the drivers. So, it's the drivers that make the league. It's the drivers driving as respectfully as possible that make people come back and put the word about that, the league is really good. And yeah, I can't thank the drivers enough. And lastly, we've now been going for 4 years, believe it or not. 8 seasons, 4 years. We seem to get bigger and better every season. And that is no small part down to the drivers again in the series, the organisational team behind it. I think we've all raced in series that you think, what are these guys doing? They haven't got a clue. But we seem to have the right mix of people with the right knowledge in the right areas to do stuff. So, yeah, that's it from me after that long Oscar-winning speech. We'll bring Sam in. We'll ask him the same question. Sam, anything you'd like to say that doesn't entail Rich Warmingham?
Okay, I will stay quiet then. No, joking. No, that's no issue, Rich. No race. Just say thank you to Nicole for his comments. Congrats for the championships, all the other winners. And yeah, thanks Clyde for all this league. That's cool that we will be broadcasting next season. Really enjoyed broadcasts for now, so really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and something to add as well on the broadcast, guys. Don't forget, because we're taking it in-house, we can change things. So we have got a suggestion channel. I know the biggest suggestion is going to be get rid of Pete Bingham, but I can't do that to him. So if you can think of something decent that's going to make the broadcast better, something that we can do better, then please drop it in the suggestion channel, and we'll do our best to fulfill your dream. That is one of the plus sides of doing it in house. We're not relying on somebody else and their set format, so that should be good. Right, guys, we're going to close now. Like I said, we will be doing a special pre-season podcast, and I'm going to try and get as many of you guys involved in that as possible. We'll try and get some people in the interview room waiting, and we'll drag you in and ask you for your predictions and ask you what's going on and things like that. The league is back, as I said before, on July the 11th for Media Day at Phillip Island, which I'm sure if Chris Jackson can make it, he will, because he does like that track. And then the league kicks off the following week on July the 18th at Mosport. In the meantime, I'm going to have a week off from league things, apart from talking to the admin team and getting a few things sorted out. And then after that, we will be back chasing you for money and hoping that you all sign up again for next season and we can see some big grids again. So that's it from me. I shall
I've got a quick question. When does the track schedule get revealed?
2 weeks ago, mate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Shows how organised we are, doesn't it?
So after that sensible input from Nicole, he's just totally gone down in everybody's estimations.
Showing exactly why he's a season champion.
Yeah.
Practice and preparation.
2 weeks ago, we had a season reveal, and you obviously missed it. But rest assured, like I say, give me a week. We've just got a few things to sort out, and then we'll start posting up schedules and everything like that, so everybody knows what's going on, any tweaks we've made to the rules, that sort of thing. So I'm going to say good night, and I shall leave it to you guys to say good night, and then Sam can close the broadcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone. And Nicole, if you watch the last podcast, you'll be able to see the schedule.
Will do. Thanks very much.